Hi, hello, welcome back. It's been 2 weeks. Do you not remember my first today? I'm on my period and I'm breaking out like crazy. I have tried to record this video 2 or 3 times now and I haven't because the lighting just makes the redness and everything just make it look so bad. So I'm here, I'm showing up, I'm doing it anyways because I promised myself and you guys that I would be here no matter what. So just because I look like shit and I feel really self-conscious about my skin right now does not mean that I don't get to show up for you. So I'm here. Today, I didn't really want to talk much about my life because I've been posting a fair bit about the stuff that I've been going through and like how my life's going on my Instagram. So I'm just here to talk to you about my journey to being a Christian. So I'm gonna literally take you through nearly my entire life, basically from the start, how I became an atheist and my mindset around that, growing up, how I was raised, and then I'm going to be talking to you about how I then became more spiritual, more agnostic, and then decided to be a Christian and where I'm at right now. And what's probably to come, which is really exciting. And also this here, my cat attacked me, like fully scratched me like crazy. So anyways, I've gone through it. I actually have scratches like all up my arm as well. So she also broke my necklace. I had to try and find a new one because my cross fell off because she just broke it. But anyways, it's okay. We're here. So yeah, when I first was introduced to God, Jesus, and everything about religion, I would have been 4 or 5. And my best friend at the time, she was Greek Catholic, I believe. Something like that. Greek Orthodox, possibly even. But she prayed to Jesus. So I'm not 100% sure exactly what she was, but something like that. And I remember we used to have sleepovers like nearly every single week. And she would pray to Jesus and pray to God. And I would ask her, I'd be like, why do you do that? Blah, blah, blah. And she would tell me why she did it and how to do it and everything. And I was like, oh, can I try it? And she said, yeah, you can try it. So then I did pray. That was the first time that I prayed, was when I was like 4 or 5. And it was a very interesting feeling. I then also went to school, and my school was like a public school, but they did do religious groups, and my parents didn't enroll me in any religious groups, but then there was one time one of my other friends who was Christian, I was lost. I had no idea what class I was meant to be in because it was one of those things where you didn't go to your regular class, so you either went to one of the Christian groups or you went to a different group, and I didn't know where that group was. And she was going to this Christian group, and she was like, oh, just come with me, like we may as well just like sit down and like hang out and all that. And I was like, okay, sure, no worries. And then I go into this Christian group, and there's this man in there, and they've got like this massive circle and everything, and this person is like holding this massive sword, and I had no idea what it was. I was like just really confused, and I thought I was like Loki in fairyland. I was like, are they telling like a story or something? And then we were praying at one point, and my friend was like, put your head down, like just shh. And I was like, okay. And I just sit there and listen to them pray, and it was an interesting experience. I felt sort of connected to it or drawn to it in some sort of way, and I was very interested and curious about it. And then I went to my parents sometime that week, and we were sitting at the dinner table, and I had said to them, oh, who is God? Like, what is God? And they just both looked at each other like, the fuck, how does she know about God? Sorry, I shouldn't swear. I'm trying to not swear at the moment. They said, how does she know about God? And they explained to me a little bit about religion. I don't really remember what they said, but they just gave me a little bit of that. They told me a little bit about some other religions, sort of just what they knew, and then they told me what they believed, which was in evolution and being an atheist. And I didn't really know what to believe, and then they had told me, they said, you can believe in whatever you want to believe, like we're going to support you, but this is what we believe, and this is what religion is, which I feel they didn't really know what religion was either. They still don't really know what it is. They don't really have a proper perception of it because they aren't religious. So, which is completely fair, but yes, they couldn't really give me a proper description of it. And I felt at that young age sort of compelled to not believe, because while they did tell me and say that I had my own choice and that I could choose what I wanted to believe, I felt that they wanted me to believe what they believed. So I decided that. And then they celebrated it when I said that. I was like, oh, I don't believe in God. Like, I believe in evolution. Which I don't think I fully believed at the time. I feel like it was just, I was believing what they were saying, in a sense. Like, choosing to believe my parents, because I was literally 5 years old. So, and then I believed that. And then that's pretty much how I lived my life, but I still respected everyone's opinions. Like, literally, my two best friends when I was 5, both were religious in some sense. One Catholic, one Christian. And I did still ask questions. As I grew up, a lot of my parents' beliefs and other family beliefs, because I didn't really have anyone or know anyone who was religious. Lots of people were very scientific in their beliefs. Like, lots of people were very believed in evolution, and that was the way it was. So I then went through school. Lots of the classes I was put into were science classes, and they were like excelling classes, like classes that I was placed in the higher groups when it came to like math and science, because that's how my brain always worked. It was very logical. And lots of those people weren't religious. They all believed in science, and they all believed in evolution, and lots of the kids would usually sort of laugh at people who were religious, and they'd go like, how could you believe in that, blah blah blah. And then a couple of the classes that I got into, science classes, there were actually a group of boys in that class that were very Christian, religious, and there was one that actually even like went to church every Sunday and all of that, and I would ask him questions and everything. So he was very, very smart, very scientific math brain, similar to me, but also believed in God at the same time. And I just thought that was really weird. And then I saw lots of like TED Talks about how people can be complete, like really good scientists, but also believe in God. Like, they believe in evolution and all that sort of side of things, but don't believe in like the Big Bang Theory. They believe in God, or they believe in, there's like a mixture of two, if that makes sense. So people like, the Big Bang has like merit, but they believe that has things to do with God, like God played a role in the evolution side of things and all of that. So it does happen. It's not, I don't think there can be like I don't think it has to be a one or the other. I'm sure there is a very middle common ground, and they can sort of just go hand in hand, if that makes sense. Which I'm still sort of learning about it all. I don't know too much about the beginning of the world when it comes to the Bible, but I do still believe in God, and I have my reasonings for that now. But yeah, and then there was this one girl in school, not in school, I worked with her when I first got my job when I was 15, and her family moved to America, and she believed in God, and she was very Christian. And I used to ask her questions all the time, and she'd post about it, and I would send her messages, and I'd say, look, I'm really just curious as to like why you believe and what you believe and everything. And she would be sure just like answer my questions, and yeah, it was amazing. So I was just like really curious. Like, I didn't really agree with the things that she said, but I was always just curious, because everyone's clearly got reasons for believing why they believe. Like, no one's just gonna believe something with like no reason for it. So I was just, yeah, I'm always very curious, always ask questions. And I loved getting to know her and why she believed and what she believed. Yeah, and then I sort of started opening my mind up to it about a year ago. So all through high school, I definitely sort of like, I'm ashamed of this, but I used to like label people as idiots if they believed in God. I was like, how could you believe in that? Like, it's so made up and everything. And I'm sure those people wouldn't have judged me for having those labels for people, because I'm sure they would have just prayed for me, which, thank you, I'm here now. But yeah, I just really couldn't understand it. I just thought they were so dumb. And I guess that was the logical side of me couldn't understand the spiritual side, the power of the universe and the energy that it carries. But I feel like there's definitely stepping stones to that. Yeah, but there were times where we'd go to like religious schools, and they would do prayers. Like, if we went and did a group thing or a leadership thing, they would do prayers at their school, and that was always weird for me. I thought it was always weird that people had to swear on a Bible. Yeah, I thought it was all kind of funny how the world worked like that. But yeah, so then I also I lost my virginity when I was 15 as well, and my family was always very like sexually open. We talked a lot about it, and most of me growing up, most of my family, not just my intermediate but extended, it was very much like a sexually open space. And we talk a lot about and even my friendships, my aunties, all that, lots of the people I was surrounded with, lots of the movies that I watched was very sexually open topics, and it was very much reinforced to me that it was normalized to have sex in a relationship, outside a relationship, and outside of marriage as well. I think it was very traditionalized to be like waiting till marriage, which it still kind of is, but I do think that now I've seen more of an open side of things where there are actually a lot of people that are making that decision to wait till marriage. And I became very sexually open and wanted to talk to a lot of people about sex and help them be more comfortable in their bodies and with their partners and everything, even at like 15, 16. And then I sort of stopped having sex for about a year until I met my partner when I was 18. We were sexually active, and he had, for our age, he had quite a high body count, and it made me feel quite like a prude. So when we separated 2 years later, I wanted to just increase my body count simply for the sake of it. Go out and really explore my sexuality and do all the things that most people do our age. And I still felt like a prude at times, even though I wasn't. I was very sexually active, and I was one of the most sexually active people that I knew. And that came to a halt in about September of 2025. I decided that I really didn't want to be sleeping around anymore. I wanted to find connection with people. And then I had the mindset of not sleeping with people until I was in a relationship. Around the same point, I had labeled myself as agnostic, and that I believed in a God. I'd started praying for things, and I didn't really know what sort of flipped in my head, but I think I started seeing lots of people post about it, and lots of successful people always said that they owed everything that they had to God. It's like some of the most successful, richest people in the world believe in God and pray to God and owe everything to him, and they're very selfless when they talk about it. So I sort of just started opening myself up to the idea that there is a higher power. And when I first started praying, I just had so much stress taken off my shoulders, like so much stress. And I was trying to explain it to people how much prayer released me, and how much trusting like the universe or a higher power or God really just released me. Really, it made me go trust that I'm on the right path no matter where I go, and I just, as long as I do the things I said I'm going to do and look for signs and trust in everything, that things are going to work out. And that was really incredible, and I sort of started heading down that path. And then I had thought about dating 2 people in the end of 2025. So I wasn't sexually active. I labeled myself as like abstinent and celibate, and then when things started getting somewhat serious with these 2 people, I did sleep with them, and if chemistry didn't really build or anything, that I didn't end up dating them, which is okay. And then I went abstinent again for 3 to 5 months, somewhere around that timeline. And then I had met another boy, and I decided to date him, and we rushed into things very quickly. We sped run quite a bit of our relationship. As soon as we labeled ourselves as in a relationship is when we became sexually active, so I had more of a strict rule with him than I did with the 2 people before. And we had very much intentionalized the fact that we both were dating to marry. So in my head, that was fine to sleep with him. Then with him, he was reading the Bible. He wasn't really, I don't think he labeled himself as Christian, religious, or anything. He sort of was still figuring out if he believed in God or not. Just started reading the Bible, and I thought he was on a very similar path to me, but I think he was a few steps behind, and I'm more looking for someone in my relationship to be someone who can lead me closer to God. So someone who knows God better than I do, someone who trusts God more than I do, and can really just show me the path that way. We ended up breaking up about 2.5 weeks ago, and I felt really lost, and I was praying a lot. My friend had taken me end of last year, probably around October, November, to church for the first time, but we didn't go to a service or a mass. We just went to like the chapel on a Wednesday, and we would pray, and she taught me how to pray, and I was really getting into that and looking into that. And after doing that, I decided that I was labeling myself as Christian, because so many of the Christian values I'd already decided that I aligned with. Like, I was more of my values started stepping up, like choosing to be abstinent from sex, choosing to be a stay-at-home mom one day, having a man lead the household, which I was never raised that way. I feel like my mom was always sort of the head of the house. So yeah, there was so many of how I was brought up. I decided that I didn't really agree with lots of that, and that I wanted to change it. And yeah, lots of those values and beliefs that I had started stacking really aligned with Christian values. So I said, oh, I think I'm a Christian. I believe I'm a Christian. So that's what I did. I labeled myself as Christian. And yeah, so my partner didn't. We separated. And the past 2.5 weeks have been like quite hard, and really just choosing to believe God and the signs that he sent me telling me that relationship wasn't forever. I had to do that, but I also know that the time that we had together was necessary, both for me and him. I do believe that he taught me a lot of things that I needed to learn, and I had to really trust myself when it came to certain parts of our relationship, and I built a lot of trust within myself over that time. And I do believe that I was also meant to come into his life as well and teach him things. So I do believe that we both brought each other a lot, and God brought us to each other for a reason. So yeah, but it did end, and that's okay, because I do know that there is someone better out there for both of us. For me, someone who's like more aligned with God and can lead me closer to him than he could have, and that's okay. But ever since then, I really felt like I was soul tied to him because of our sexual connection, and I felt like I had to break that through sex again, like that whole toxic saying of, if you can't get over him, get under someone else. So yeah, and honestly, I did try. I tried, but it just felt like there was 3 people that I had tried with, and they weren't new people. They'd been people from my past, and every single time something happened that stopped us from having sex, like, and it was uncanny. I was like, wow, really, I actually feel like God is pulling me away from these people, and thank God that happened, because I would have regretted doing that with those people. So here I am. Been technically abstinent for like 2.5 weeks since the breakup, basically. So and I'm choosing to stay abstinent, and I had a conversation with a girl yesterday who I know through work, and she's Christian. I didn't realize she was Christian when I first met her, and then she was posting a bit on her Instagram about Christianity and like her religion, her going to church and everything, and I was like, oh my god, I need to talk to this girl. We'd had like a one conversation at work, and I don't know, like, I didn't really click with her to start, but then after this I was like, I just felt drawn to message her and like take her out for coffee. So then yeah, I messaged her, took her out for coffee. The way we talked for like 2.5 hours, and honestly I reckon we could have kept yapping if we didn't have places to be. Like, we could have kept going. But it was amazing. The things we're talking about, we're mostly just talking about religion the entire time, talking about the Bible and prayer and waiting till marriage and things like that. And I said to her, I was like, yeah, look, I've actually contemplated waiting till marriage, but the thing that I think stops me the most isn't me or what I want or being scared of anything. It's more the fact that I don't feel like I can find a man who would be willing to wait. And she was like, you have no idea. She's like, if you just go to church, you meet so many men who are so God-centered. They put God at the middle of their life, in the middle of their heart. And she's like, you just don't realize what's out there until it comes. And she said, you just really just have to go out there and go find it. And she was like, just come to church with me, and I'll show you, and like just have conversations and meet new people. She was like, but the man's out there. The one that you want, like, he'll meet your standards, trust me. And I was like, damn, okay. Thanks, I appreciate that. So now I'm in a position where I am literally just trying to become a better Christian woman for myself, for my friends, my family, my future husband. So that's the sort of path that I'm heading down. That's what I'm on. And waiting till marriage, which is crazy considering the life that I've lived and the things that I've done. I have made a lot of decisions over the past like month or two that I believe do step me closer to God. And I can't wait to keep learning and growing and becoming a really good Christian woman. And I'm so glad I met this girl, and I'm really excited to expand my circle and become more of a Christian woman than I ever thought I could be. So I'm really excited for that. Waiting till marriage, which I know there's gonna be a lot of people who might listen to this and see this and go, Nicola, waiting till marriage? Like, no, she's lying. Like, I know there's gonna be a lot of people who think that, which I totally get it. I would be thinking the exact same thing if I was on your side of this. But the journey that I've had, I'm so incredibly grateful for. All the people that I've met, the people that I've learned from, the lessons I've had. I'm so internally grateful for every single bit of it, because I wouldn't be the person that I am today without it. And I'm really glad that I am the person that I am today, and I've met the people that I've met, and I'm so glad I'm just on this journey of growth. So yeah, that's everything. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via DM and message me, but that's pretty much my entire journey. I'm sure there's definitely like little bits and pieces within there that could definitely be added. I know I met one girl who was very much atheist my entire high school career, and she would judge people more than I did who were Christian. She'd make fun of them pretty much straight out of high school. She ended up going to church, meeting one of the guys that we used to go to school with, and they ended up getting married really quick, and they had 2 kids. They have 2 kids now. And I messaged her and I was like, girl, can we please talk? And we caught up, and I got to meet our babies and see them together, and it was a really beautiful experience meeting them and seeing them together as like a happy family, and seeing how much once you leave high school, you become your own person, how much that can really change you. And becoming Christian really changed her for the better as well. So yeah, I don't know, if experiencing religion, if trying to step closer to God is something that you've been thinking about, just do it. Go find a church group, talk to the people around you that are Christian or Catholic, and really try to have those conversations and start going. Like, you don't have to lock yourself down, you don't have to label yourself as anything yet. Like, you can just be like, you can just say like, oh, I'm not sure what I am. You don't have to label yourself as an atheist or a Christian. You could start by saying, oh, I'm agnostic. Like, I believe that there's something, I just don't know what. You don't have to label yourself as anything. That's what I did to start. I labeled myself as agnostic for about 3 to 4 months before I labeled myself as a Christian. But yeah, you can just start on your journey, and it doesn't have to mean anything. You can always go back, or you can keep going forwards. But I'm sort of saying this because you can be a Christian after 20 years of being an atheist. And yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share my story because I have lots of people message me and ask me about what my journey is, what made me become a Christian. And I don't know, the biggest thing that I usually tell people that I've missed is that prayer is really incredibly powerful. It is. There's been so many of my prayers that have been answered. Like, I was talking to one of my friends, and she was telling me all these things that have happened in her life, and she's so shocked that she's like this changed person. And I was like, girl, I prayed for this. And she was like, what the she was like, why did you do that? Was I shit before? And I was like, no. I just prayed that you'd make this step. So I'm proud of you. Like, I was so shook that this had happened to her, because I'd prayed about it literally a week or 2 earlier. Oh, excuse me. And there's been times where I pray for strength and ability to be able to do things, and I say, I need this strength right now, I need it now, and I get it, and I go up and I go and do the thing that I need to do. There is so much power in prayer. I would start by praying if I were you. It doesn't have to be a certain way. I just started out by having conversations with God and just talking, just putting the energy out there into the universe, if that's a better way for you to think about it to start. But there was this way that I started praying, and then Alex Eubank actually jumped on his Instagram and talked about how he prays the same way, and I was like, oh, I pray that way too. And it's basically P-R-A-Y, pray. P is praise, so you praise the Lord, thank him for everything. R is repent, so talk about your sins and ask for forgiveness, really. And then A is ask, so that's where you like send your requests and you pray for people, really. You go, you say, oh, I pray that my brother is healthy, happy, everything. Just pray, ask for anything that you want. Ask for yourself, ask for other people, ask for anything. And then Y is yield, so really surrendering yourself to God, trusting that he has you on the right path. And that's how I pray now. That's exactly the structure that I do it, and it works really well. I love it. Even I journal when I pray sometimes. I might write it down because I'm more of a written person. Anyways, it's gone quite long, so I hope you got some sort of benefit from this, any type of value. Hope you enjoyed just listening to the story at a minimum. But yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram, and other than that, I hope you have an amazing day. Bye. Love you all.